We'll do it post. No, we got it in Covington at the time.
The regular meeting of council for the city of Fairview Park for Monday, April 6, 2026 is now called to order. We will have a moment of silent reflection. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Will the clerk please call roll?
Mr. Wayne.
Present.
Mr. Bennett.
Present.
Ms. Greenfield.
Here.
Mrs. King.
Here.
Mrs. Waring. Absent. Mr. Rayleigh.
Here.
Mrs. Mann.
Here.
I will now entertain a motion to excuse Councilwoman Waring.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on the motion to excuse Councilwoman Waring?
Mr. Wayne.
Yes.
Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield.
Yes.
Mrs. King.
Yes.
Mr. Rayleigh.
Yes.
Mrs. Mann.
Yes.
Motion passes. Are there any written communications?
No, there were several emails received and one record request received on March 18th.
Thank you. We will now have the standing committee reports. Environment, Public Works, Planning, Zoning, and Development, Councilwoman Mann.
Thank you, Council President. The Environment, Public Works, Planning, Zoning, and Development Committee met March 9th at 7:27. All members of the City Council were in attendance, as well as Mayor Schneider, Directors Pay, Hitch, and Dever. 2 items were on the agenda. Resolution 2605 asking the state legislature to pass House Bill 303 to create a community energy pilot program. Roger Sykes from Solar United Neighbors Ohio informed City Council that House Bill 303, which passed the House with strong bipartisan support, would permit Ohioans to subscribe to solar energy generated locally. He stated that 23 states currently allow community energy production, which has been shown to reduce electricity costs for ratepayers by 5 to 20%. Councilor Mann asked if there were any studies estimating the impact on air quality. Mr. Sykes said no, but shared that financial studies showed Ohio would benefit economically from the program. Councilor Waring asked what impediment would be removed by this legislation. Mr. Sykes said that currently people can only invest in arrays on their own roof, but this would allow them access to solar off-site. Ms. Waring asked who owns the arrays, individuals or businesses. Mr. Sykes explained that most development would be done by businesses, but that individuals in the community could organize to develop sites for energy production. Ms. Waring asked if community energy production would be regulated by PUCO. Mr. Sykes answered that PUCO would oversee the program and further regulations would be created based on the results of the pilot program. Councilor Lang asked what the rate of permanent adoption was by states that have piloted community energy programs. Mr. Sykes indicated that most state programs are continuing. Mr. Lang asked, given the broad support for this legislation, how many projects are ready to install if the legislation passes. Mr. Sykes did not have a specific number, but said there are developers working with landowners at this time in preparation for this legislation passing. He noted that community energy projects move quickly and offered 9 months as a possible time frame, and that he expects it will be a phased approach over the 4 years. With no further questions, Ms. Mann moved to place Resolution 2605 up for second reading emergency passage. The motion was seconded and passed unanimously. Ordinance 2617 authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a sewer services contract. Ms. Mann explained that she kept this in committee because she expected a sewer presentation from Director Hitch this evening, but that had to be delayed. Having no further questions at this time, she moved to place ordinance 2617 up for third reading and final passage. The motion was seconded and passed unanimously. The meeting was adjourned at 7:47. This concludes my report.
Excellent, thank you. Finance Committee, Councilwoman Greenfield.
Thank you, Council President. The Finance Committee meeting on March 23rd Finance Committee began at 7:07. All members of council and the mayor's tin were present. Jennifer Kay was sitting in for Liz Westbrook for clerk of council. Ordinance 2619, the fire contract. We had a representative here, a legal representative for the contract for fire department. John Delano was here. He provided a high-level presentation about the major changes to the fire and police union contracts with the city of Fairview Park. The negotiation details that John Delano shared. The highest wages supplement difficulties in keeping employees to retain and attract qualified workers. The Fairview Park salaries were falling behind in the current salaries for police and fire for recruitment or retention. The wage package is competitive now with the new contract. Equity increases to top step would be 3%, 3.5%, and 3% over 3 years, increasing in the salaries by $3 per hour, with a maximum of 49.8 hours per week. An extra 2 weeks a year remain the same. Brought us in line in terms of our salaries with Bay Village and Rocky River. Around insurance, with the contract negotiations, John Delano said the HSA contributions, the cap amount of contributions would be higher. IRS drives the increase, so it's not frozen for 3 years. Dental and vision will pay 15% of the premium. Promotions language for flexibility procedures has been streamlined. Ordinance 2619, the fire contract for the fire department passed 7-0 and was placed on second read with emergency passage. Ordinance 2620 was regarding the police department's contracts. John Delano provided the high-level presentation about the major changes for the police department contracts for the city of Fairview Park, the same objectives as the fire department. So you have your estimated steps in the schedule will be 4 steps. Equality will be $1.50 for adjustment increases, and the cost of living increases will also be the same as the fire department, 3% for the first year, 3.5% for the second, and 3% for the third year of the contract. Unique to the police contract, annual bonuses, participation is specialized. For a specialized unit is increased to 2, and you can receive $250 for that financial benefit for participating in a specialized unit. Compensation time in lieu of overtime payment, they have added a cap of 240 hours, and the grievance procedure has been streamlined for efficiency. Ordinance 2620 passed 7-0 and was placed on second read and emergency passage. Ordinance 2621, salary structure and wage ordinance for non-union employees at Fairview Park. Director Pay provided the additional information. 2 items were up in the salary structure that were changed or modified. The salary for the chiefs in police and fire will be 16.8% higher than the next salary person in the department. In 2012 was the last time that there was a change in pay. Now it's all under the same umbrella for the pay scale and salaries for the fire and police departments. There's been a word change. Instead of wage, it says salary in the ordinance. Ordinance 2621 passed 7-0 and was placed on second read and emergency passage. The Finance Committee ended its report at 7:27.
Great, thank you. We will now begin our legislation agenda for the evening with legislation up for first read. Councilwoman Greenfield.
Thank you, Council President. So we have, I'd like to place one ordinance and one resolution up for first reading tonight.
Thank you. Will the clerk please assign numbers and read the titles?
Ordinance 2622, originated by Megan Otter, Assistant Development Director, requested by Mayor Bill Schneider, sponsored by Councilwoman Greenfield, co-sponsored by Councilmembers Lang, Minnick, Raley, and Mann. An ordinance supporting a request for grant funding to the Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency for the state fiscal year 2027 Enhanced Mobility for Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities Section 5310 Grant Program, and authorizing the mayor to accept any awarded grant funds and file all documents and execute all agreements necessary to receive any awarded grant funds, and declaring an emergency. Resolution 2606, originated by Megan Otter, Assistant Development Director, requested by Mayor Bill Schneider, sponsored by Councilwoman Greenfield, co-sponsored by Councilman Lang. A resolution authorizing the submission of an application to Cuyahoga County for the 2026 Special Municipal Grant Program, and authorizing the mayor to accept any awarded grant funds and file all documents and execute all agreements necessary to receive any awarded grant funds, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Ordinance 2622 and Resolution 2606 are placed on first reading and assigned to the Finance Committee. It is now time for audience input on legislation that is up for passage this evening. Those pieces that are up for passage are Ordinance 2617, Resolution 2605, Ordinance 2619, Ordinance 2620, and Ordinance 2621. Please make sure that you've signed up at the table to speak so that the clerk can call you to the microphone. Please be courteous in your comments, and there is a 5-minute rule. Is there anyone who signed up to speak on this legislation?
Ben Kendall.
Yeah, so my name's Benjamin Kendall. I live on 226th Street between the McDonald's and the frozen custard place. I think House Bill 303, which is 2605, I think it's a perfect example of a bill that people with all kinds of views should support. People who care about local control, competition, and free markets, this bill would increase competition without putting a hand on the scale for any specific technology. It would allow small groups to create alternatives to the large companies that desperately need competition. For people who care deeply about climate policy and would like to see the makeup of our grid change, this bill would allow us to put our money where our mouth is and be part of the solution. For people who just plain want to see our electric bills go down, this should do just that by providing more supply. For me personally, my home isn't well suited for solar because we have trees in our front backyard and our roof is just complicated. I fully intend to invest in whatever solar projects are made possible by this bill, including anything supported or run by the Cleveland Solar Co-op. Yeah, so I hope you support the bill. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for your comments.
Martha, I'm sorry, Martha, I cannot make out your name. Minnesota? Can you spell that when you get to the mic from me?
Hi, my name is Martha Wiersma. I live on 217 in Fairview. I have solar panels on my roof. I have 8 panels because I have a very small roof. And it's exciting to me that people who maybe also have small roofs or can't afford to get solar panels could, through this resolution and this pilot program, be able to avail themselves of lower bills. That would be great. I don't have a whole lot more to say, but I think solar and renewable energy is definitely for the future. And I'm glad to see that we're moving in this direction. It's great.
Great, thank you so much. Could you spell your last name for our record?
Okay.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Dale Van Zant.
So hi everyone, I'm Dale Van Zanti. I live in the Valley Forge neighborhood just across the valley over here. So I didn't necessarily come expecting to speak tonight, but we do have a modest solar array on our garage roof, about 6 kilowatts. It was put in by the solar co-op almost 4 years ago now. And we have the full house backup battery in the basement. So we installed it mostly for like personal resiliency as far as our ability to get through storms and all that kind of thing. So if you remember we had a 3-day power outage in the August 2024 storm. So that array and battery got us through that entire event with lights and cold beverages for the whole time. So it not only is a good climate thing, it's also a good personal, resiliency thing for people. And so from a private homeowner standpoint, it's been a really good thing. And over the course of a year, it actually generates 2/3 of the electricity that we use for our house. And of course, in the summertime, we actually make far more than what we actually use. So we're pushing out to the grid and actually powering, several of our neighbors at the same time. So, so solar is a great way to build out grid capacity. It is a little bit expensive at first. This idea may be a way to get more people involved in it. In my day job, I work for an entity that is an industrial user of power. We've seen our power rates go up by 5 to 6 times in the last few years. So anything that we can do to build out capacity and control costs will help our industrial users of power as well. So, thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you very much. That's it? All right, we will now move on to items up for third read and final passage tonight. Councilwoman Mann.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to place ordinance 2617 up for third reading and final passage.
Will the clerk please read the ordinance?
Ordinance 2617, originated by Brian Hitch, Service Director, requested by Mayor Bill Schneider, sponsored by Councilwoman Mann and Councilwoman Greenfield. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and to enter into a sewer services contract with the lowest, most responsive, and most responsible bidder, and declaring an emergency.
Is there any discussion prior to passage? All right, hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on passage of ordinance 2617?
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick.
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield.
Yes.
Mrs. King.
Yes.
Mr. Raley.
Yes.
Mrs. Mann.
Yes.
Ordinance 2617 passes. Now it's time for legislation up for passage without 3 readings. Councilwoman Mann.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to place a resolution up for emergency passage.
Will the clerk please read the title?
Resolution 2605, sponsored by Councilwoman Mann, co-sponsored by Councilmembers Lane, Minnick, and Raley. A resolution of the Council of the City of Fairview Park calling on the state legislature of Ohio to pass legislation to allow for the creation of community energy pilot program in Ohio and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Mann.
I move to suspend the charter provision and Council Rule 49 requiring 3 readings.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on the motion?
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick.
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield.
Yes.
Mrs. King.
Yes.
Mr. Raley.
Yes.
Mrs. Mann.
Yes.
Motion passes. Is there any further discussion prior to passage for resolution 2605? I would like to thank Councilwoman Mann for bringing this forward. I think this will be great for the community. Will the clerk please call roll on passage of resolution 2605?
Mr. Lang.
Absolutely yes.
Mr. Minnick.
For sure.
Ms. Greenfield.
Okey-dokey.
Mrs. King.
Yes.
Mr. Raley.
Yes.
Mrs. Mann.
Yes.
Excellent. Resolution 2605 passes. Councilwoman Greenfield.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to place ordinance 2619 up for emergency passage.
Will the clerk please read the title?
Ordinance 2619, requested by Mayor Bill Schneider, sponsored by Councilwoman Greenfield. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Fairview Park, Ohio, to enter into an agreement with the International Association of Firefighters, Local 1057, and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Greenfield?
Yes, I'd like to move to suspend charter provision and Council Rule 49 regarding 3 readings.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on the motion?
Mr. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Minnick?
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mrs. Ann?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Is there any further discussion prior to passage? Yes.
Mayor or Director Pay, if you could explain why we're passing this on emergency reading without 3 readings.
If I may?
Please, thank you.
A couple reasons. First reason is higher revised code timing with when a contract is introduced and when it needs to be passed. So we are within that time period. The second is courtesy to our members of the 2 collective bargaining units so that they can get their salaries that they negotiated sooner than later.
Thank you very much.
All right, any further discussion prior to passage? All right, will the clerk please call roll on the passage of ordinance 2619?
Mr. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Minnick?
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mrs. Ann?
Yes.
All right, ordinance 2619 passes. Councilwoman Greenfield?
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to place ordinance 2620 up for emergency passage.
Will the clerk please read the title?
Ordinance 2620, requested by Mayor Bill Schneider, sponsored by Councilwoman Greenfield. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Fairview Park, Ohio, to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Greenfield?
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to move to suspend the charter provision and Council Rule 49 requiring 3 reads.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on the motion?
Mr. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Minnick?
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mrs. Ann?
Yes.
Motion passes. Is there any further discussion prior to passage?
Council President?
Yes.
Director Pay, if you could explain once again why we are passing ordinance 2620 without 3 readings.
If I may?
Yes, thank you.
Same reason, because of the Ohio Revised Code and the timelines and to get our union members who negotiated their salaries paid in a timely manner.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion prior to passage?
I'll just say they absolutely deserve it.
Agree with that. All right, will the clerk please call roll on passage of ordinance 2620?
Mr. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Minnick?
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mrs. Ann?
Yes.
Ordinance 2620 passes. Councilwoman Greenfield?
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to place ordinance 2621 up for emergency passage.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the title?
Ordinance 2621, originated by Jennifer Pay, Finance Director, HR Manager, requested by Mayor Bill Schneider, sponsored by Councilwoman Greenfield. An ordinance establishing the salary ranges for various offices and positions of the municipal government, repealing all other ordinances or parts of ordinances inconsistent herewith, and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Greenfield?
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to move to suspend charter provision and Council Rule 49 requiring 3 readings.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on the motion?
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Minnick?
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mrs. Ann?
Yes.
Motion passes. Is there any further discussion prior to passage?
Yes, Council President.
Yes.
Jennifer, Director Pay, if you wouldn't mind.
I would be happy to.
Thank you.
This contract, or excuse me, not this contract, this ordinance, is tied with the contract, because of the police, chief salary and the fire chief salaries, are, as, Councilwoman Greenfield said in her report, they are paid 16.8% higher than the top salary. So since that's been updated, we need to update the contract, and because we have a 27th pay this year, it's a little additional more, so we just needed to have the capacity to pay our two chiefs.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion before passage? Will the clerk please call roll on passage?
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Minnick?
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mrs. Mann?
Yes.
Ordinance 2621 passes. We will now have reports from the mayor, directors, and city officials. Mayor Schneider, when you're ready.
Okay, thank you, Council President. Happy Easter, everyone. Construction on Center Ridge Road has started. Please avoid the area as they are actively milling and repairing the roadbed. This is a joint Rocky River and Fairview project. They're going to be replacing the roadbed as well as doing some curb work on Fairview Park side. We'll have a start date for construction on West 210 next week, or we should. We're gonna have pre-con next Monday, so we'll have a date for the public soon. In regards to our sewer system performance last week, it performed as designed. Of those reporting household basement water, all seem to be on the homeowner side, at least mostly from what we can determine without actually going out there and doing the home visits which we've offered. Mostly from foundational seepage. I will say that we do a lot of instances around the city of backyards retaining water. I would urge homeowners to use a sump and get that out of your backyard, as it does put pressure on your foundation and your basement. Power outages from the storm last week have been resolved. In talking with our First Energy rep, there seems to be many issues with tree falls ripping down power lines. I said that was mostly prevalent in the Ward 4 area closest to North Olmsted. So we do need to maintain access for First Energy so they can take care of that. Lastly, the process of switching our city and others over to the next generation 911 has started. In the future, residents will be able to text and send pictures to 911 from their cell phones, as well as have their location identified in 3D first responders. So if they are on a certain floor in an apartment building, first responders, or at least dispatch, will be able to tell where they are. That's my report.
Thank you. Director Hitch?
Good evening. Good evening. Service has been busy this week, filling potholes, trying to do some street repairs. We are gonna gear up, the asphalt plants are open now, so we'll be able to put some hot mix down instead of the coal patch. We are starting to repair the 35 excavations from the water main breaks that occurred this winter. We're cutting grass, we're dressing the ball fields for Vulcan. We're street sweeping every day, and we're still chipping brush from the last storms. And just to elaborate a little bit what the mayor said about the last storm event, we had major rainfalls, everyone's aware. We did well. We had very few service calls, only 7 to report of water in the basement, which can be determined because we didn't really determine whose side was on, only because the water was down. That's how we got to 5, and the other 2 were definitely homeowner side. The pump stations did keep up with all 3 pumps running at the highest level they could run at, but it still was enough to maintain, which was a good thing. So everything seems to be working well. That's my report for this week.
Great, thank you. Director Pay?
No report, thank you.
Okay. Director Dever?
No report, thank you.
Engineer Kerber?
Thank you, Council President. The Woodstock Sewer Project is continuing. They are working in the Woodstock-Elmore intersection currently. Stanford is continuing. They're installing sewers and they're working towards Elmore. The sewer services contract, thank you for passing that. We hope to go out to bid for that in the next few weeks. And as the mayor said, we have received 7 or 8 requests for site visits, and we are scheduling those for the next couple of weeks. Thank you, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Okay, it's now time for our public session. Please make sure that you've signed it at the table. And our clerk will call you out to the microphone. We ask that you are courteous in your comments, and you do have a 5-minute limit. Please call the first person up.
Jenny Yorick.
I'm Jenny Warwick, been here before. I live on 0 Mastic Road, and I'm here because I have just a few comments to make about our situation. There are a lot of things that have been happening in the community in the past week or so since we last spoke. One was we had a distinguished related to our house to go over our concerns and questions in a little bit more of a calm setting. It was a little bit more comfortable in your own home than it is out here in front of everyone when you stand up and all of a sudden you lose all of your words and all of your courage and all of the things that you jotted down in your brain and wanted to say and forgot and said, I didn't see the one thing that I needed to say. And all of us are in the same boat. I want to speak first to Bridget King. While we were in our meeting, some things came up. We learned some things from records releases that we requested from our litigator who was helping us navigate these situations. And the letter was surprising, and it immediately got leaked to Facebook or presented to Facebook in a way that was very uncomfortable. There were things that were written in the letter that I'm not going to say what the letter was, but I have history with Ms. King, and my thoughts about Ms. King are that she's a good person, she's kind, and our relationship was over her children, and there is nothing that ever can change that when you have a relationship with a person's parent and a person's child. That being said, I guess I should just look at my notes. When you hugged me after the meeting and said, we'll figure this out, I believed you. I believed you. And I have believed in you. I have voted for you. I have supported you. And while I will never put a lawn sign in my yard because I believe that people in the community can be evil and mean and wicked and can come at you with things that you don't expect. And I am a person who is afraid of people. But I believe in her, and I believed in her. That being said, there was a lot of mudslinging, and I do not believe that the contents of that letter rose to the degree where people should be asking for her job. I do not believe that people should attack other people's character. I will not be part of that. I will not mudsling. I will not call names. I will not attack. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help her to help me. And when she said that we will figure this out, I believe that. My dad always used to say that when you deal with mudslingers and you deal with people who yell and are nasty back and forth and do not think about the consequences of their words, words are very important. It's like wrestling a bruised pig. And we all get dirty, and the pigs love it. I've also heard from a very wise man, Mr. Leonard, who says that all of this doesn't necessarily have to be personal, even though it feels like it's personal. That we have to accept everybody, warts and all, and how they behave, and we have to accept that, because not everybody comes from our city, not everyone comes from our parentage, not everyone comes from our neighborhood. We have to accept that. But acceptance does not mean approval. I do not approve of the way people have handled us. I do not think that everything was done with propriety. And I do not think that everything was done with our best interest. When we approached the first council meeting, and it was said that we've exhausted all of the possibilities, we've looked at all of the things, we've looked at all of the scenarios, and we've come up with a couple of things. Well, we can't do this because X, Y, and Z. We can't do this because of A, B, and C, we can't do this because of whatever. But we gotta do it here. And then people started saying, we shouldn't do it in this neighborhood. This is a residential neighborhood. You can't put salt domes in our backyard. And I sent pictures to people on council saying, this is literally our backyard. This is not something down the street. This is not something down the block. This is something that every time I look out my back window and I remember seeing my children run in that yard and play in the field, which we couldn't really play in very well because it is a swamp back there. It is ankle deep until the middle of July. This is not a new development, and anyone who walked that property would know that you had better have your hip waders on because you are gonna get wet all the way up. Neither here nor there. It's something that we know because our children try to play back there. Also,
Oh, that's our 5-minute mark.
I'm so sorry, I'm sorry. This is personal. And I hope that you can understand.
Thank you. Thank you for your words.
John Lord.
I'm obviously John Lord, her husband, and I appreciate everything she said, and I agree with everything she said. Since this began, we've been trying to have dialogue with the mayor and council, and some have been more receptive than others. Okay, I said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll say it again until this thing is all over. Yes, the building department, service department needs updating, it needs major renovation. There's no denying it, okay? We've had meetings, talked, we've sent out messages on social media, local news, trying to get our point across, okay? To a large extent, we truly feel it's falling on deaf ears, okay? We tried to ask the mayor many times if he would be interested in doing some group form, task force, group form. We've asked about a Plan C. Plan A, number one, we don't want it in their backyards. No one wants it in their backyards. You cannot tell me that you'd be okay looking out your back window and seeing trucks in your backyard, construction vehicles, whatever, maintenance buildings. There is no way. The only response that I truly get from that is people say, well, they can't go in my backyard because it's already built up. That's not an adequate answer. Mr. Mayor, I've asked you time and again if there is a group that you get together to consider other alternatives. We've given other alternatives to different members of council, and I believe you might have even gotten some too. We've talked about some, we've ruled them all out, but you can meet with people who are of business thought, and they'd be willing to negotiate, or not negotiate, but just talk and try to come up with a good plan, okay? As I see it right now, everything is leading towards and only towards Plan A, which is the purchase of Mastic Road. And we've tried and we've pleaded our case, okay? If it continues, we all know where it's going. Everyone does. But it doesn't have to be that way. All right? I know that you've requested money for surveys. Okay? The way that you went about it, I don't know if that's the best way or not. If you're just paying people to do a survey versus going through the vetting process of getting credible companies, then it's a little suspicious because you are paying people to do a survey to give you a response, and if you're paying them, it's coming right back to you. Basically, they work for you. That is a little scary, especially since as much as we've tried to have open dialogue and trust with our city, we don't feel it's been reciprocated. Okay, so again, there is a Plan C out there. There's multiple Plan Cs. We're asking you once again to look at those and consider them, because I truly don't feel, as anyone within our neighborhood feels, that you are doing anything but looking at planning. That's all, thanks.
Great, thank you very much.
Tay and Jean.
Take your time.
My name is Tay Ron. Last few times that I was here, I didn't really speak up.
Can you speak up to the microphone? We can hear all of you. Thank you.
My name is Tay Ron. Okay, I haven't been in this meeting for a couple of times, and I really never really spoke. But I just want you guys to know, and what we went through as my husband and I, and we have been living in that Fairview Park for 39 years, going on 40 years next year, and my husband was very, very ill, so he had double lung transplant, and so that was in 2012. It's going on 14 years this October, and so I decided to go ahead plant vegetables. We have like a 900 square footage organic vegetable garden in my backyard. So I feel that at the time that I feel that I need help my husband, and with back his health, and so we retired about 20 plus years now. So it's been a long time. So so the reason that we planted the organic vegetables, because I don't want my husband to be exposed to the chemicals to the food. You know what it's like now. Everything is sprayed very heavily. So I feel that if I do that, I could take out his health. So we also plant the many flowers and so on. And but now we have a nightmare that he'll be breathing. Would you decide to do it in our backyard? Okay. You don't understand what it's like not able to breathe. And it's, God gave us this health where a lot of people, they can breathe. But people who cannot breathe, and this is very important, that we need to live in some environment where no pollution. That's how I felt it in my backyard, because we planted lots of the plants, flowers, and whatever. And now we are having an actually nightmare. So I want you to hear me, and I want you to be thankful for yourself that you be able to breathe. So now I'm really worrying about really having a nightmare. What is going to happen to my husband? So going on 14 years, he had his double lung transplant in Pittsburgh because they would not have any lungs in Ohio. So just had a lot of doctor's appointments that he's making a history. They only live 5 to 10 years if you're lucky. So I want you to understand how I feel about it, what you guys going to do, and please reconsider. Okay, we have another gentleman who is across the street, and he is thinking about having a lung transplant also. He's not able to breathe very well. So I just want to make this short. I want to thank you for hearing me out. And thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Kathy Kohout.
I can very well sympathize with my neighbor. This has been very, very stressful on us. My husband now is going through radiation for cancer, and us also having to have chemicals, diesel or salt or trucks or whatever in the backyard would be awful. It's just, we're begging you to reconsider putting things someplace else that are not gonna be harmful to our health, and also not be harmful to our property values. Being older, I've lived there 26 years, we have paid and taken care of our house, and to raise our property value, to be able to have something when we have to move out of our house. And if this goes in and destroys our property value, we have nothing. So I'm just asking you to please reconsider and think about other options. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
Jean.
Jean?
Yes, my name's Gene Ron. You asked me to leave my wife. She's on the first, I don't know, I've been in the city for about 30 some odd years. I spent a lot of time away from my family. And I really don't know, a lot of these things, I read all your bios, that's what it is. I read all your bios, and you all were elected, you were very thankful, you were gonna serve the people of Fairview Park diligently, and I'm sure you're trying to. But we're part of Fairview Park. All of us. And put something, if any one of you would tell me that you would be willing to trade houses with me, okay, let's pay. If you can tell me that you would like this in your backyard, I'll believe you. But I don't think there's one of you that want it, not in your backyard. And we're no different. So I'm asking you, and there are a few things that I don't understand, is why everything is done on an emergency level. In a way, I kind of do, because that's the way things get passed. We gotta have this, we gotta have that. That's a matter of emergency. Where's the planning? There's supposed to be planning in here. When you buy a large truck, you're supposed to know where to put it. You're supposed to have maintenance programs. You're supposed to have people to do it. I understand the maintenance part. I spent 28 years in maintenance. And when you have something that gets left out in the snow and freezes and cracks, it's on you, each and every one of you. And you've all been here long enough, except for maybe a couple of council people, that this, with the maintenance garage and all this, you've all been here long enough. Why is it now that it's such an emergency? Why wasn't planning made 10 years ago? And some of you weren't here, I understand that, but some of you were. And if I did business like that, I'd be in Leavenworth. I tell you. So I'm asking you not to do it unless you would like to be in the same position I'm in. I saw a nice lot up there on Lorraine. Beautiful. I think your trucks can turn around there. I think you can build your maintenance project there. But that's just one person's opinion. And I hope you change your mind. Thank you.
Thank you. John Daynow.
My name's John Guy, and I'm Gabby Gold's bought that house in 26 years ago, and it's a beautiful place, and, it's tearing her apart, I know that. And it's kind of upsetting me too. I worked on industrial equipment since I was 14 years old. I was in the operating engineers, got diesel certification, and salt. Worked down in salt mines, and compressors, everything. I know how equipment, I did the repairs. And, you kind of kick the can down the road, it's not you guys, probably for previous administrations or whatever. It's time to do something. I found a building, the old Ganley garage, right across the bridge in Cam's Corners there. It's vacant. And it's got plenty of room for equipment and storage. It's a huge building. And I'm just asking you to kind of consider that. It's like I say, it's across the bridge, it's in Cleveland there, and, it's close. And there's a ton of room there. I drove by there 3 times. I bought a car there actually a few years ago. But, just please come to your senses, man, because you wouldn't want this in your backyard. I know, I worked on plenty of diesels, and I know how dirty they are. Plus the salt, that's what has me concerned. The corrosiveness of salt. It's in the sewer systems, and you're gonna be washing the trucks all off and everything. And it's gonna be a disaster, and I don't believe you have the room there to properly, store your stuff and repair your stuff. I understand fully. You need a space to work on stuff. But there's gotta be a building. Like I say, I recommend that Ford dealership there. And like I say, it's just across the bridge. Check it out, man. You might take care of it. But it's driving my wife crazy. She bought the house. We weren't together at the time. And it's really tearing her apart. And I can understand, because, she busted her ass to purchase that home. And to lose value of the place, that's obscene. We pay our taxes. I voted for you. I'm a Democrat, but, it's just, it puts some common sense to this, just a way. That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it? Okay. All right, now we will have miscellaneous business and any other comments from members of council. Councilman Lang?
Nothing this evening.
Councilman Minnick?
Thank you, Council President. To my fellow council members, to Mayor Schneider and his staff, I have the honor to present to the mayor a petition signed by 237 members of our fine senior center, which reads, "We, as undersigned, support the Fairview Park Senior Center remaining in the current location at 20769 Lorraine Road."
Received, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. President Council, I have 2 Border Control reports. The Border Control met this morning, March 23, 2026 at 10 a.m. in the Fairview Park Committee Room, 2nd floor of City Hall. All members of the board were present. Also present was Senior Director Brownville, Megan Otter, Assistant Development Director, Recreation Director Kemp, Henry Chasky, Executive Assistant to the Mayor, and Resident Mr. Jeffrey Zemplick. 9 items were discussed. Item 9. Development Department is requesting $1,526,115.85 for repaving and reconstruction of West 210th Street. Megan stated 5 bids were received with the sewer construction on Woodstock and Stanford and the renovation of Center Ridge Road. There would be considerable work in the area. Motion to pay $1,526,115.85 to Jaga Highway from the Capital Projects Fund. 811 was approved 5-0. Item 1, Senior Center. Senior Life requests $65,250.75, adding $5,250.75 for new blinds in offices and meeting rooms at Senior Center. Total purchase order of $60,000. Director Brondo spoke. 3 quotes were received for 12 to 13 windows. Motion to pay $65,250.75 to Lowe's from the General Fund, $100, Recreation Fund, $230, Sanitary Sewer Fund, $510, Sanitary Sewer Fund, $761, and EMS Fund, $781, and Senior Life Office Fund, $761, was approved 5-0. Item 2, Finance Department is requesting $36,949.38, adding $6,949.38 for added incentive rebates. 2025 loan purchase order of $30,000. Director Pay spoke and stated more for rebate. Motion to pay $36,949.38 to Hospice at the Western Reserve for General Fund 100, Recreation Fund 230, and Capital Projects Fund 811 was approved 5-0. Item 3, Recreation Department is requesting $7,750, adding $1,750 for maintenance supplies, loan purchase order of $6,000. Director Kemp stated this is a necessity. Motion to pay $7,750 to Home Depot from the General Fund 100, Recreation Fund 230, and EMS Fund 780 was approved 5-0. Item 4, Recreation Department is requesting $5,789 for pole vault track runway repair, $3,289, and turf field maintenance of $2,500. Director Kemp stated the last meet official stated the track was not in compliance. Motion to pay $5,789 to Vasco for the Recreation Fund 230 was approved 5-0. Item 5, Recreation Department requesting $28,500, adding $15,500 for recreational digital two-way radios and miscellaneous repairs accessories to the open purchase order of $13,000. Director Kemp stated radios are top of the line. Motion to pay $28,500 to BNC Communications from General Fund 100, Recreation Fund 230 was approved 5-0. Item 6, Recreation Department requesting $27,565, adding $15,565 for wallpaper removal and painting of community rooms, hallway, and restrooms, open purchase order of $12,000. Director Kemp stated the entire building is wallpaper. Motion to pay $27,565 to Powell Painting and Contracting for General Fund 100. The Recreation Fund 230 was approved 5-0. Item 7, Service Department requesting $32,575 for excavation and repairs of sanitary sewer laterals at 21448 and 21458 South Park Drive. Director Hitch stated the excavation was a little deeper than anticipated. Motion to pay $32,575 to KMU Trucking and Excavating LLC for the Sanitary Sewer Fund 510 was approved 5-0. Item 8, Service Department requesting $5,500 for rebuilding lift cylinders for bucket truck. Director Hitch stated the repairs were necessary for use of the bucket truck. Motion to pay $5,500 to Best Equipment Company from General Fund 100 was approved. This completes my report. The Board of Control met this Monday, April 6, 2026 at 10 a.m. in the Fairview Park Committee Room, second floor of City Hall. All members of the board were present, also present were Megan Otter, Assistant Development Director, Caitlin Fitzpatrick, Service and Development Department Support Specialist, Henry Chassie, Executive Assistant to the Mayor, and Mr. Jeffrey Zemplick. 3 items were discussed. Item 1, the Development Department is requesting $15,000 for professional studies at 22100 Mastic Road. Megan stated this is phase 1, soil samples at ODOT, 3 weeks for finding. Motion to pay $15,000 to Manick and Smith from the Permanent Improvement Fund 260 was approved 5-0. Item 2, The building department is requesting $7,500 for traffic impact study at 22100 Mastic Road. Megan stated the intersections of West 220th Street and Mastic Road and Brook Park Road and Mastic Road will be studied with a 3-week findings for the impact. Motion to pay $7,500 to American Structure Point from the Permanent Improvement Fund. 260 was approved 5-0. Item 3, the building department is requesting $23,030.27 for the environmental studies for the TLCI project at Mastic and Purity. Megan stated the right-of-way issues, safe crosswalks, traffic signal issues. The law director never made inquiries. Motion to pay $23,030.27 to TRC from the Capital Project Fund. 811 was approved 5-0. This completes my report. Thank you.
Is that all you have?
Yes, thank you.
I thought you had something else about the apartment building.
No, that's being held in abeyance.
Gotcha. Councilwoman Greenfield?
Nothing tonight. I'm good.
Okay. Councilman Rayleigh?
Today is my son John's 4th birthday, so if you see a Spider-Man, I'll go to him.
All right.
I'm done.
Councilwoman Mann?
Thank you. I do have, some questions about the testing that the expenditures were approved for. I heard professional tests, something about soils, and that's for the Mastic Road property, and then also, the traffic study. But the environmental study that was approved is for something down at the bottom of the Mastic Road in the valley. Are there environmental studies being done for the Mastic Road property?
Yes, please.
Thank you. The work that Mannequin Smith is doing is a phase 1 ESA, geotechnical borings, and a review of the existing noise study for the Mastic Road property. American Structure Point is doing a traffic study on that property at 220th and Brook Park and 220th and Mastic. I'm sorry, Mastic and Brook Park and 220th and Mastic. And then the third one is TRC, and they are doing environmental for the separate project that is down in the park for the ODOT traffic signal pedestrian crossing project.
Valley Parkway.
Valley Parkway appearance.
Okay, so, will Mannequin Smith be doing like, studies of air quality changes if, and then you said hydrologic soil testing?
We
Does
are
that,
doing a phase 1 ESA.
Okay.
I am not 100% sure every single thing that's included in the phase 1 ESA. We have an environmental department that will be handling that. The geotechnical is borings that are going to go down, 18 to 20 feet to determine what the soils are that are there, and then make recommendations on whether it is buildable, or what is required if you wanted to put a building on.
okay. I would like to have it verified whether or not the area is considered wetlands. I understand there are permits required if you intend to build on wetlands, so I think that it would be important to know that. Is that part of the ESA one?
It is not part of a phase 1 ESA. That's, a wetlands assessment is would be a separate item.
Okay, Mayor, can we add that?
I can get a proposal.
Okay.
Thank you, Kim, I appreciate that.
And, what kind of, timeline then? Are we thinking that we'll get all the findings back on these studies?
I'm sorry, I missed your question.
Oh, what's the timeline? When do we expect to get all the findings?
3 to 4 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks, okay. that is, yeah, that's the extent of my questions on that. And I appreciate everybody coming out tonight to speak on the resolution and to tell us your stories over where you live near the Mastic Road project. And thanks everybody for coming out.
Okay, thank you. I just have a couple quick announcements. For the May 5th primary, the registration to vote deadline is tonight at 9 o'clock. So if you're not registered to vote, get out your phones and register now because you have 55 minutes to do so. Early voting for the May 5th primary starts tomorrow. And please note that there is a change this year with absentee ballots. If you're mailing in your ballot, it has to be into the Board of Elections on election day. They're no longer going by the postmark stamp. So it has to be into the Board of Elections, so please mail it accordingly. I would like to thank the mayor and Director Hitch and every single member of our service department for what you've done on your the sewers this year, or since you've taken office. With only 9 reports of basement flooding after all that rain, I think that that's really a great win. So thank you for all your hard work. And exciting news, tonight we successfully tested our live streaming. We were recording from the back corner and it will be live up for anyone to watch at any time now on our YouTube page. So tonight was our final test, so this is something that we can start doing. We can start live streaming next week. All right, there being no further business to come before council this evening, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call roll on the motion to adjourn?
Mr. Lynn?
Yes.
And Mr. Minnick?
Yes.
Mrs. Greenfield?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. Raley?
Yes.
Mrs. Mann?
Yes.
Okay, the meeting is now adjourned.